Hey guys. So it has been a month. It has been a whole month. I have been wildly busy. I got a message from my friend Scott, and in it, he was like, I love your vlogs, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I know like there are an audience of 3 of you out there, but he's one of them. So the 2 other people, he was like, I really like your vlogs. And I'm like, yeah, I want to continue with them. I just need something specific. I want to talk about something specific, right? Oh, and we're going to close that down. And he's like, yeah. And I said, what should I talk about? And he was like, I want to know, and I quote, how you came to be a never tiring ball of energy. It's like, well, there. How do you like that? First off, that's very nice. But second off, my answer to that is I do tire. I do tire. And I think it is, it's very dangerous to think that I consider myself a stubborn optimist. And I think it's very dangerous to think that stubborn optimists don't also feel pessimistically sometimes. Like the 2 are not mutually exclusive. And that's, I think, where a lot of people veer off and head down like dark alleys of pessimism, right? Because for some reason it's like either you're a half full or a half empty kind of person. It's like, no, it depends on the day, dude. Sometimes I just want to like take the fucking glass and just throw it against the wall and screw water altogether. But yeah, so like multiple times a month, you know, sometimes the whole month, I'm just like, I'm a worthless piece of crap. The whole world hates me and everyone's so mean and everything sucks. You know, like it's not, optimism is something that you work for. It's not innate, and I think it's really dangerous when people think it's an innate characteristic. So how I cultivate my inner optimist is by listening to my inner voice. And how do I listen to my inner voice? Is by relinquishing power. So when I say relinquishing power, I believe in God. I say God for lack of a better term. I believe in the flying spaghetti monster in the cloud times. I don't know, you know, the little gravity, whatever you want to call it, the electromagnetic spectrum, whatever, you know, that's, I believe in some wonky wavy that essentially is just this like network of love that connects us all. Yeah, God is love. Love is God. So when I relinquish power and I take my hands off the steering wheel and I learn to accept and to receive, I am able to hear my own inner voice a lot clearer. And I don't know if it's my inner voice or if it's God or whatever, but that little deep, 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 chirp, 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 that's what you're trying to like tune into, right? And sometimes it's loud and fucking clear. Sometimes it's like, go to bed. Sometimes it's like, eat a cheeseburger. Other times it's like, get out of the house. I am going crazy town. You need to be around other humans, right? But that's when it's like yelling and throwing a fit. But my goal is to listen to it when it's soft, right? So I don't have to get it to its screaming point. It was like one of our founding fathers or some like Greek medicine man guy who said, listen to your body when it whispers so you don't have to hear it when it screams. And I think the same thing of, you know, my inner voice. Where is that going? Inner voice, listening, screaming. Okay, so usually my inner voice tells me to do things like to sleep and to eat and to, you know, sometimes it can get tricky though because I become so focused on listening to my like soft inner voice that sometimes I get hung up on like which way to fucking turn on the road. I'll be like, I could go left or I could go right. Inner voice, what are you telling me to do? So sometimes it can lead to indecisiveness, which is where meditating comes in. Because when you meditate, you realize like, oh shit, like you probably need to take life less seriously. I vacillate between taking life extremely seriously and not seriously at all, but mostly I take it extremely seriously. And props sometimes, but other times it can just be exhausting, like make up your mind, paper or plastic, girl. You don't need to consult like the inner radio. So that's a thing. But also another big thing I've learned, and I'm focusing on cultivating as a habit, is not compromising my own well-being on a regular basis. The example I give is I have a bunch of allergies of a weird digestive and neurological syndrome, blah, 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 can't eat a lot of stuff. Okay. So when I'm doing well and like I've been doing well and I'm, blah, 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 I'm feeling good, I'm like, okay, just a little bit of this won't hurt. A little bit of rice won't hurt me. And it doesn't, and I'm fine. And I keep eating well and it's all good, blah, blah, blah. But when I'm like every day, like, oh, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then I feel like crap, And it's the same thing with everyday actions, you're in a situation where the people might be treating you rudely, but you're there for your friend and you want to be there for your friend, but everyone else sucks. And so you're like, oh, well, I can take a few hits to be, and that's true. And that's good to have, that shield up for those situations, but you don't want your like bulletproof shield to get dented too much. You don't want it to look like a goddamn hailstorm on your chest, right? And sometimes I can do that. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm Wonder Woman, I'll be fine. And then it's just whoosh. I'm like, oh God, but I'm so tired. So basically, like being an optimist for me is about taking care of myself and putting myself first, and knowing when to say yes, knowing when to say no, and knowing how often. Really the only way that I can do those, to be able to do those things, is through being rested and meditating. So if I don't have sleep, and if I haven't had time to quietly reflect, focus on my breathing, and watch my thoughts rather than be involved in my thoughts, then it's no bueno. It's no bueno. I think, oh, right. The last thing I really wanted to talk about was, what time are we at, though? What time are we at? Ooh. Okay, well, we're at 7 minutes. Hair times. What you doing, hair times? We're at 8 minutes. Screw it. We'll save the last bit for next time. That was fun. I felt like I talked really fast, but I just had lots to say. Okay. Thank you so much. You are appreciated. You are loved. And conical-shaped receptors in the back of your eyeball times will tell you whether berries are poisonous or not. Namaste.